Good morning, my dear students. Today I am going to teach you the poem Fire and Ice, written by Robert Frost. In my last video, I have given a brief description about the poet Robert Frost. You may please refer to it. Before I discuss this poem with you, I would like to introduce this poem to you. This poem is a symbolic poem. The poet has cleverly used two symbols in this poem. The symbols which the poet has used in this poem are fire and ice. In this poem, fire stands for desire, greed, lust, conflict, and fury. The emotion called desire, if not kept under control, human beings would go crazy about materialistic gains, political power, women, and whatnot. They would start fighting with one another. They would wage wars. For this reason, we all have to check this emotion. We have to keep this emotion under control so that we can live peacefully in this world. Similarly, the poet has used another symbol in this poem called ice. Ice in this poem stands for hatred, insensitivity, intolerance, indifference, and coldness. These attributes or emotions of human beings are so dangerous and evil for the mankind that they would tear away or tear apart the humanity. People with this emotion hate one another. They display intolerance towards certain communities. They are very careless towards the sufferings of the people around them. In short, I can say that it is my opinion. Both fire and ice, I mean to say that both desire and hatred have potential to destroy this world. Now let us switch over to the poem. In the first stanza of the poem, there are two groups. One group says that fire will destroy the world or put an end to the world. The other group says that ice will destroy the world or put an end to the world. What is the opinion of the poet here? What does the poet feel about the opinions of the groups? Whom does the poet is going to support? The poet is not at all confused here. The poet is pretty sure to support which group. The poet decides to support the first group which says that the fire is going to put an end to the world. The poet gives the reason also. He says that he is very familiar with the emotion called desire and he has experienced it. He knows about it very well. For that reason, he says that desire could destroy the world. Desire or fire can put an end to the world. But in the second stanza, he continues to explain that if the world had to perish twice, perish here, end. If the world had to end twice, then the poet says that the emotion hatred also could be very much sufficient because he know enough of this emotion. He is also familiar with this emotion. Then in the second stanza, the poet says that hatred or ice could also destroy the world equally. So this is the poem. In this poem, the poet has used so many literary devices. Let us discuss them one by one. Anaphora. The poet has used a literary device called anaphora. What do you mean by anaphora? It is the repetition of a word or expression in the first part of some verses. If you look at the first stanza of this poem, an expression has been repeated twice. The first line also you find that expression, and in the second line you find that expression. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. The expression some say has been repeated twice In the first line you would find that expression, and in the second line also you would find that expression. Such an effect is known as anaphora. Well, the second literary device that the poet has employed in this poem is alliteration. The definition of the word alliteration is: in alliteration, series of words begin with the same consonant sound. I will give you a very good example for this. Peter, Piper, picked a peck of pickled pepper. In these examples, all the words begin with the same consonant sound. Such an effect in poetry is known as alliteration. The poet has employed another literary device in this poem, that is personification. Personification is to give human qualities to inanimate objects. Here, inanimate objects means lifeless objects. When you give human qualities to lifeless objects, then the effect of personification is found there. For example, here in this poem, fire and ice, these two are inanimate objects, these two are lifeless objects. But the poet in this poem has bestowed human qualities to these two objects. What human quality the poet has given to these two objects? The quality of destruction, the power of destruction. The poet has given to these two inanimate objects in the poem. So here, the literary device called personification has been used by the poet. That's all for today, my dear students. Hope you have enjoyed the poem. Thank you very much and have a nice day.